Welcome to Bizruptions, a video podcast where we talk about the ish that happens along the road to business success and how to keep pushing through it. And now, from the Yokel Local Studios in lovely Las Vegas, with your Think Out of the Box hosts, Stormie Andrews and Borah Fortune Stott.
Yay, you didn't start talking before my little crickets finished. Thank you, Stormie.
I was about
that.
to.
I know you were. That's why I said I'm so happy
crickets.
about that. I love my crickets. Leave my crickets alone.
I'm going to get an exterminator in here.
Exterminator. That being the case, it would get rid of you as well, Stormie. So just so you know, I'm just saying, okay? So today we have an awesome show. It's a young lady that I just met, and I have to tell you, I am so, and I am so impressed by this beautiful woman that we have on the set here. Stormie, you don't fit in on this show, but we're going to let you ride anyways,
Well,
okay?
I appreciate that.
So we have the beautiful Shawn Willis with us.
Shawn,
I'm
welcome.
I'm going to read a little bit of your bio just because it's kind of interesting to me, some of the things in it that we're going to get into it. So Shawn holds a bachelor's in business marketing from the University of Detroit Mercy. She has held board positions with the Congregational Near Tamid, Congregation Near Tamid, CNT Sisterhood and Jewish Family Services Agency, Las Vegas, and has served as a member of the IAC.
Etanim. So IAC is Israeli American Council, and I was an Etanim mentor. So Etanim is their mentorship for middle school and high school students.
Okay, and you're currently part of the UNLV President's Associates Community, PAC member.
Council.
It's the council.
We're the PAC, so President's Association Council.
Oh, it says committee here.
Oh,
That's okay, but it's the President's Association Council.
Council. Okay, that's what I thought it was. Okay, a member of the Council of Women for Global Change, Las Vegas, Metro Chamber of Commerce President. So you've been like, I just wanted to read off some of this because
You're busy.
You're busy?
You're busy,
and you know
busy.
the saying, if you want something done, you ask a busy person.
So that explains it. That's why I don't ask Borah for anything. Except what happened on Jerry Springer today. That's about the only thing.
And I can tell you what happened on Jerry and Mari, okay?
And Mari. Did they run for office? I think they were our next politicians.
Yeah, I think
Are they
Jerry.
really?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Jerry Springer, I believe he was like the mayor of Chicago or something at one point.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
way.
Yeah, check it
He at
out.
least ran for it.
Well,
Check
that,
it- no, he
that
was
just
the
goes
mayor,
to
I
show
believe.
you.
I
That just
believe he
goes to
was.
show you that anyone can win, Stormie.
I'm running.
You can run.
I'm
yes.
in. I'm throwing this is the official announcement that Stormie is throwing his hat in the ring.
Okay, what round?
There you go. And we know that you're going to lay down and you're going to take a dive.
I'm going to take it, absolutely.
You'll never make it till the end. Well, anyways, we have this amazing woman, and I wanted to talk about some of those things because I'm going to go straight to it. And as I said, I just met you.
Uh-oh.
And yes, I'm going to go straight to it. And I just met you, and then I started to read your bio when you sent it over. And I was like, okay. And the first thing that came to my mind is that we always put these barriers up on things that we can and cannot do, on things that we should and should not do. And for those that are not watching here on camera, on live or on YouTube, they don't know why I'm asking these questions, and I'm going to tell them. So I said that she was a beautiful woman. What I didn't tell you is she's a beautiful Black woman. And everything I just talked about has to do with Jewish. So besides Sammy Davis Jr., I don't know any African-American or Black or whatever you want to call it, individuals who are Jewish and are this much aligned with Judaism.
I think we all should take a trip to Israel.
Really?
One thing about Israel, it's a very colorful place. And you also have to remember the history of Judaism. And there are, first of all, the name Judaism itself means the science of connecting all. So
Really?
That's the first thing to remember. The second thing is there were people of this faith it wasn't called Judaism all the time throughout history. So Israelites, it transformed. But there were people of this faith in every continent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
We learn something every day.
And remember this too, in
Okay.
the Torah, which is the same as the first 5 books of the Bible, first 5 books of the Old Testament, there's no mention of color. That was never spoke of. And what we have, the image that we have of a Jewish person really reflects from the television imagery from
Right.
World
Yes.
War II.
Yes.
So remembering what happened in Europe. So we have that. And then a lot of American Jews did come from Europe. And then we also think about what happened in Spain. So it's been Jewish or people of this faith, Israelites, Hebrews,
Okay.
from all over. Think about Ethiopia. And one of the largest immigrants, Jewish immigrants from Africa, was from Ethiopia. You have to also remember, and even the term African American, my dear friend who was my CEO, his father is actually from Morocco.
Okay.
And that means she's more African American than most of us. But think about that. That's
Interesting.
Jewish people in Morocco, and then a lot of people migrated into Israel. So there's deep history. I'm also published in the UNLV. I'm part of the UNLV library for Jewish heritage. So they actually did
Wow.
a book there. And the company that we had, Aliyah Media, one of the goals of Aliyah Media was to help connect U.S. and Israel on non-religious and non-political focus.
Wow.
Wow. I had to just touch into that really quickly because I wanted to just come out of the gate running, because so often we let so many things block us, and we have this picture and we look at the cover and we never go inside.
That's right.
right.
I mean, there's so much more. This is not a show about religion or anything, so
Yes.
don't worry, guys. However, I did want to just touch on that really quickly before we talk about all the other amazing accomplishments.
You just can't speak today, can you? You've been struggling all morning.
It started with the crickets.
It started out with the crickets.
I think the crickets kind of invaded her space and took over.
Were you drinking before we started the show, Deborah? I've got a question. Have you?
Accomplishments.
Okay,
No, it all
you've
got
got it.
started because Stormie, it was 10:15 and you were not here, and I started panicking.
You never need to
So-
panic with me.
Ooh, and then I got here late.
Yeah, so that's what happened. See, I was ready to rock and roll, and nobody was here to roll with me. So
But I'll tell you too, Deborah, it's important. Yes, people do have these. They think they know a whole story, and we're in marketing. And I think that
Yes.
in marketing, we actually do ourselves a disservice by not having those conversations and putting people into categories just by a color. We miss really patterns. We missed a lot of other things that are actually even more valuable in the components of marketing when we don't dig deeper.
ooh, that's a
Right.
very good point.
Absolutely.
That is a very good
That's a
point.
very
You
good
miss
point.
so much, and there's amazing power in marketing that we really don't realize, and all we ever think about with marketing is, oh, sales, sales, sales. But you're right, there's such a story
So
there.
many
There's a
components.
journey there, and
Yes.
if we take them appropriately on that journey, then it makes such a difference
Yes.
in a business,
Yes.
in their growth, in their life.
And then
That-
talk.
No,
Continue.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's why social media and digital marketing
Right.
are so well and so successful, because they engage individuals. You're not necessarily put into a box, and it was a disruption in the industry because everything that people learned in their books and everything that they did in marketing were categorized by Black, African American, white, age groups, but social media and digital marketing proves that it's way deeper than that, and people are ready to engage on a more idiosyncratic level.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things I want to bring up that I wanted to talk to you about. So you're the CEO and VP of Business Development
Yes.
of 5am Global.
Yes.
And I want you to share that. But before we dive into your business, I want you to share with the audience the struggles, because the title of this podcast is called Bizruptions, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you've gone through some disruptions, some Bizruptions along the journey to success.
Yes.
And not just for your business, but you're the member of many boards. You're a very, very successful entrepreneur. My understanding is a lifelong entrepreneur, also being a female. And like I said, you've probably encountered all sorts of issues that have maybe it made the struggle, a little tougher, but it made you stronger.
Yes.
So can you kind of go into that? Because there's some individuals that are entrepreneurs, they're starting their business, maybe times are tough, they're struggling. So if they can hear some words of encouragement, I think that would be powerful. So share your story with us. How did you get here today, Shawn? I could tell you how Borah got here because her parole officer brought her in. But that's a different story.
Community
we want to
service.
know it's community service.
Hey,
The parole officer is is waiting right outside the door, just so that people know. So when the show's over, you can go back.
No. I have my ankle bracelet on, so he
Oh,
doesn't
so
have
you're
to wait.
okay.
He went to
And
go
you,
get
Okay.
coffee.
did you hear her ankle bracelet?
She just can't speak today. Wow. We need to get you checked out.
Saying yes, exactly.
You're
yeah.
struggling.
I got out of the joint there, so I got a little extra something this morning.
Okay.
No, they're actually waiting right outside this
That's
door.
it. That's it. Yeah.
Timing is everything.
Absolutely.
Timing is everything. Yes, it is. And she's so sweet and pretty. And look at her.
I
She just jabs right in there.
See, I'm good. I'm a good person.
That she's a good
Yes.
person. That she is.
But, so I have to blame this part of this journey and influence on the Little Rascals.
The Little Rascals.
Little
Okay.
Rascals.
Pray tell.
The Little Rascals. And I obviously watched the reruns in black and white.
Right.
And what I saw there was that the world is not black and white. And in my family, the world is not black and white. So you look for details and things. And on the Little Rascals, they always had an idea, and it wasn't an age factor. It wasn't a color factor. They had ideas, and they were of like minds, and they worked together, and they were little adults, and they put
Absolutely.
together shows, and they to me that was the first indication and interest that I had in marketing.
Okay.
Because I saw exactly what they developed products or they developed an experience,
Right.
and then they always had a plan, and their presentation was great, and they found a way to communicate and pull other people in, other kids, other things in. So I that was my first influence, and I remember going to my mother and saying, "Hey, I want to do this," because I used to write poetry and plays. And she'd said no.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm very verbal, and I would then say why, but
Right.
not out of just there wasn't any disrespect intended. I just
Right.
wanted to know why, so that she would give me an answer why. Excuse me, and then I would come back again with the same request, the same thing, but now I have answered one of her concerns or her reservations.
Right.
And if
Okay.
she said why once again, then if she said no again, and so
why again?
I kept coming back because she had reasons, and I thought as a child I will come back until there isn't a reason. So therefore I will do everything that I can do, and maybe it just won't work. But once I got to the point where I could do, she could not. And even gathering information. So the final ask that I did for her, by that time I was 10,
Okay.
and I used my adult voice.
Your adult voice.
My adult
Okay.
voice
Authority.
as a little child. But I called. I went through the yellow pages and I called a couple of halls and I got information. And I was very specific this time. I didn't go to her and say, "This is what I want to do. Can you help me do it?"
And what was it that you wanted to do that you had to call halls?
I
I
wanted
wanna
to take one
hear
of
this.
my plays,
Okay.
and put together a showcase, charge for it, and then donate money to a charity. For some
Wow.
reason, I was kind of tied to. This a whole nother story. But for some reason, I was just again Little Rascals. So I was interested in other little kids who didn't have homes.
Right.
Oh,
So,
wow.
So Little Rascals.
Little Rascals.
I thought they were homeless because they didn't show parents. So
never showed
I
parents,
assumed-
right.
They never had any
they didn't have
adult
any
supervision.
parents.
None.
Right. So, but I called. So now this time when I asked her, I didn't say, "Hey, here's an idea and I would like to do this. Can you help me?" Or "Here's an idea." I came to her with a complete presentation. I had all the answers answered, and where, the who, the what, how much it would cost, and then the end results.
Okay.
At 10.
At 10.
Yes, at 10 years
Wow.
old. And my mom could not say no at this one. She could not say no. So at that age, I knew people, process. I answer that presentation, you get it done. So now as an adult in business, it is the same concept. People, process, presentation, profit. So
Process,
that was the
people,
beginning.
presentation, profit.
Yep, people.
And
people
people.
first. It
People
starts with
first.
the people
People
first.
Okay,
Yes.
interesting.
The right people.
People, yeah.
So I want to hear about this play.
Stormie,
What was
so
the name
he
of the
doesn't
play?
like
Did you
it.
get the play when she?
Yeah, we did.
What's
the
the story? I got to hear about this play. I'm excited about this.
I wrote a lot of plays, and this
Okay.
was just the goofiest thing. It was a play with poetry enmeshed in it, and
Okay.
it really wasn't good. It really wasn't good. I spent a lot of time on this presentation to get it done. That I learned too that I don't necessarily have all those talents. So that was lesson number 2. I got to know my strengths. So I have a creative idea, but I need others to help develop it and make it come to fruition. Now in modern days, they say in every business you have a superstar and a rock star. So the superstar is the one with the ideas, and they they'll push it off forward and make and put together the teams to make it happen.
Right.
So I understand that now. And
it's
your rock star.
it's the same in business.
It's
It's the same in business.
Yes.
Well,
Exactly.
in this show, our format's a little bit different because we have superstars, rock stars, and bench warmers,
And
right?
I'm both.
So
I'm
I'm
both
the superstar,
and
our
the rock
guest's the
star.
rock star, you're the bench warmer.
Yeah, right.
But here's something I want
Let's do a battle. Let's do
Yes,
like a lip
absolutely.
sync battle, and let me
lip
decide
sync.
who the superstar is.
Have you ever heard Stormie rap?
Oh, I'm good.
Let's do it.
I won't do it
Okay.
right now. Wait, I want to
I
dive
can
back into
beatbox
something.
for you.
Okay, I got a beat. Oh, then I'm there.
Or I
But-
could sing.
That's right.
But here's something that you shared, which I think is just incredible, and I don't know if everyone who's listening to this podcast picked up on the message. At the age of 10, you exhibited grit, and grit's extremely important in terms of success. So you were told no by your mom, right? And then you got more information, and you were told no again. You got more information, you were told no again, and who knows how many times this this back and forth progression took place, and then eventually you got your mom to say yes, right?
Yes.
And
And let me tell you, that second no was that could have been ended up scary because she didn't
didn't
want to
like
hear
it.
it. But I found a way to make her listen
well, you know what? Here's
without being disrespectful.
Right,
absolutely,
right.
you did it
Yeah,
the
and
right
that's
way.
the key.
And here's the scenario in business. I can tell anyone who's entering business, and I run into this all the time. As a matter of fact, I have a consultation with the client later on today because they stop at 2 no's, which is insane because study after study after study says that you know what, it takes 7, 8, 9 no's in
Yes.
order to get a yes.
Yes.
And usually when people are saying no, they're not saying no. Basically what they're saying is, hey, based on the information I have today, the answer is no.
Yes.
That's what they're saying. Give me
Yes.
some more
Not right
information.
now.
Yes,
Yeah, not right now. Give me some more information.
Yes.
Things could change.
Yes.
You went back at the age of 10. You got more information. You showed that grit. You didn't give up. And let me just tell the business owners that are listening to the show, don't give up. You're going to get no. You're going to get no again and again and again. Get used to it. Each time you get a no is a learning experience.
Right.
It's not the time to go pat yourself on the back and say, poor me, woe me, this isn't
Woe
right.
is me. Whoa, whoa, why?
Why?
Exactly why?
I just had to dive into that because someone listening to this, if they didn't pick up on that, I just thought that was powerful. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing. So continue.
absolutely.
I didn't mean to stop the
This is
story.
Bizruptions.
It is Bizruptions,
It's
exactly.
disruptions. Life is full of
That's right.
disruptions and
It's-
interruptions and
Now-
stormies,
Right.
and so you just keep on moving
Keep on
past them.
going.
And I have one very, very important question.
Yes.
This one's important. If you
Yes.
get this question wrong, we're shutting down the podcast and we're throwing you out.
Okay.
We're done.
Now I was an A student, so
okay.
and if I got less than that, I either challenged the teacher or I put my own self on punishment. So bring it.
Oh, bring it. Okay. Well, this one here, I don't know if those A's are going to help you.
Okay.
This is a very,
All right.
very important question.
Okay.
Eric Thomas always says, you need to put yourself on punishment. So you've been listening.
Oh yeah. That's right. Oh, yes.
Okay, here it is. And those that you're listening, I know this is the question you've been asking.
Okay.
Who is your favorite Little Rascal?
Wow.
That's a
wow.
very, very important. You know, there's Spanky,
Yeah.
Stymie, Darla, Buckwheat.
Tay.
And I'll tell
There's a lot of them.
you,
You got to have who's your favorite?
I don't have one. For some reason, things are usually wrapped up in 3 with me.
Because I see you as a Spanky. Spanky was the ringleader.
I could see a spanky.
I can see a
see
Spanky.
I can see a spanky.
So guess
too.
what?
Yes.
You dodged that question. I think you punked out on that one. It's Spanky. No, you punked
Not
out.
just call our guest a punk, Stormie.
I didn't call her. I didn't say she's a punk. I said she punked out.
But I'll tell you
because
what.
Definitely a Spanky.
Well, you had
Spanky was
3
the
that I
ringleader.
remember: Spanky, Alfalfa, and
Alfalfa. I can't believe I forgot
yes,
about Alfalfa. I
Alfalfa
forgot that.
and
Buckwheat.
Buckwheat.
And Darla.
Okay, now.
Don't forget Darla.
I wasn't
I had a
Yeah,
crush on
Darla
Darla.
was a non-factor.
I had a crush on Darla.
I was not
Wait a
interested
second.
in Darla.
I was
wasn't either.
interested
She was
in
a
Darla.
non-factor.
Oh, you guys are out.
She was
was
the
a non-
only female, so you had a crush on her. But that wasn't for any other reason. Yeah. But with those three, and I don't remember the other ones, but I got to tell you, they all showed 3 different strong traits.
Right.
Because even Buckwheat, and I know it was a different time, and in the old day, like you said, but he represented listening to me. See, to me, he was the
Really?
strategist.
Okay.
Interesting.
Because he listened. That's the way I saw it.
Okay.
I
Right.
saw Spanky as, yes, the ringleader. He's going to get it done, put things together. But anyone that's the ringleader, they have to have their team.
Absolutely.
And they needed each one of them equally. And Buckwheat was, that's the way I looked at him. And then Alfalfa was the going. He was the salesperson. He can take the nose.
He was that blue personality.
Yes,
Let's go.
Yes, he could take the nose. He would put it in your face, annoying, singing, not afraid of anything, and that confidence that you need. So you need the visionary, the ringleader, organizer, the one who would take full responsibility. You need the other one who has the personality and the strength. And then, like I said, you need the listener.
Chutzpah.
Wow, she
The
just
chutzpah.
Yeah, that's
yes.
it. Yeah.
she just
yes.
turned my response around.
I know,
And
right?
I'm just going to shut up for the rest of the show
I told
because
you
if I
she was
call her out,
serious.
she just turns it around on me, and I'm like, uh-oh, wait a second here.
But here's the
Okay.
beauty of this is that each time we have guests, there's always something that has aligned with them
Yes.
that they take that's usually, and it's quite often so far out of the box. We have the basic things that come from Zig Ziglar, come from Les Brown, Brian Tracy, and I mean, the list goes on and on. Those are the basic things, and they're all in alignment. They're in a straight line. Stormie?
I'm there. I fixed it.
They're in a straight line. However, I love it when you can take something that you were passionate about or something that struck you at some point in your life, and you can take that and you can build something, and you've taken that, the listener, the lead. I mean, all of those are things that are necessary as you're working with businesses, as you're building, and especially as you're creating a marketing campaign.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
so powerful. And I never, ever would have thought of them. All I ever thought of when you talk about, the Little Rascals is all I ever think about is Otay. That's it.
Yeah,
But I never would have thought about him as the listener. And he really was.
He's
Yeah,
a listener.
absolutely.
He's, 5am Global. 5am Global. If I want you to think about this too. We use individually and as a team. We use a lot of symbolism, and supporting what you're saying. What you said in the beginning. A lot of people just look at the book cover. They look at the book cover, and then they just take that. They may not turn the pages, or they look at a brand. They look at a label and don't turn it around and look at the ingredients.
Yes.
So we use honeycombs a lot.
Okay.
You'll notice that a lot in our internal creations. We use honeycombs because just like a honeycomb, if you've looked at one up close and personal,
Right?
the dimensions of a honeycomb, one as a whole, and then you can look at each comb or each component.
Okay.
And it goes deeper, and it's almost nonstop.
Okay.
So it's just like individuals. It's just like a company. It's just like an industry. There's so much beyond
many
what
layers.
you just see.
Wow. On the
Yes, so
surface.
many layers.
Yes.
And the grooves that fit and working together. So I see people, I see businesses, industries being the same way.
You're so right. You're
Yeah,
so
you're so
very
right.
right. I never thought about that either.
Let me tell you about the layers of Borah. I'll share
I go
that
deep
with you.
and wide.
It's like an empty black hole with there's nothing.
There.
Aha.
See, I'm offended, Stormie.
Oh, did
I'm
I say that
offended.
out loud? Oh,
I'm
no
offended.
offense, no offense, no offense, no
Okay,
offense.
okay.
See,
'cause-
we've determined that if you say no offense, you can say anything to anybody as long as you
no
follow
matter how
no offense.
ridiculous
Say
or
no
insulting it is.
And that's
Because-
what you start off with it first, and then you start off no
Oh,
offense.
yeah, so no
then
offense, and then you insult
Exactly.
them.
And then you just come together and play, what is it, Words Against Humanity?
Oh, yeah,
And
there
then,
you go, and then it just
then
brings us
everything
back
is out in the
together.
open.
Maybe
What is
we should
Words
do
Against
that.
Humanity?
Oh.
Is that a
Oh
game?
my goodness.
Is that?
I've reached
We should
out
do that
to
on
those,
one of our shows.
I reached out to the creators to do a challenge and play that game with them. And I thought, wow, this game is so interesting. We had a team game night, And I said, okay, well, just make sure to not bring a game that's offensive, political, whatever, non-politically correct. So we do have. I was just getting to know the team, did not know everyone.
Okay.
And we're all from different backgrounds. And I said to Maya, I said something about words against humanity, or is it words against humanity, or is it what is it called?
I know it's something against humanity.
Okay,
I played it, but let's go with words against humanity.
Words against humanity. The game is.
It's hardcore.
It's hardcore.
It's a great game.
You know what it does though? It just pulls out every stereotype, and you see how there's no power. We give power to all these words and to the stereotypes and the understanding. It's all stupid. I mean, that's what the game is doing. It's showing you that you can take this word, combine it, something that's offensive. Could be offensive to any group of people,
Really?
Absolutely.
Gender, age, ethnic background. But
it's Cards Against Humanity.
It's Cards Against Humanity. Yes, and all they are is just words.
So is the basis to insult one another? I mean,
No, the basis is to show how stupid or to show that words have no power.
But it's hardcore.
Okay.
So
It
what I'll
is
do,
hardcore.
I'm going to bring it in, and
Yeah.
maybe we should do a podcast show. We'll probably lose all of our guests, but that's okay. We don't care. It's Bizruptions. And we will play.
actually, most of our guests will say they'll chime
Yeah,
in.
we'll play Cards Against Humanity on one of our shows. We'll give them hey, this may be R-rated, X-rated, NC-17. It's
Yeah,
going to have
it's
all
all
of that
that.
within
Is
this
it?
show. And if you don't like it, turn off, get away. But otherwise, you may crack up laughing.
But that's when everyone would probably turn on more.
Exactly.
We know controversy,
Exactly right.
how when things are controversial and naughty.
Absolutely.
And
so
naughty.
there you go. That's a great
Naughty.
idea. We're going to have our future Cards Against Humanity show. That's going to be a blast.
That's a whole new.
I'm
that's
gonna
a whole
put-
new. We should have a Cards Against Humanity
A podcast, just a
podcast,
regular series.
Right.
Hey,
regular
Cards Against
series.
Humanity.
Now
this
I'm going to
week,
have to
next
go
week.
find that because I've never heard of this Cards Against Humanity.
Oh my gosh!
It's funny.
so
Some
bad.
of those I think were inspired by you.
They probably were. I would not doubt it.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it picks on every
I was a
minority
really bad kid.
stereotype. You were bad.
Oh my God, I was so bad.
Bad, like bad. I'm bad, like Michael
Oh, like
Jackson,
no,
or-
I was like really bad. Like it's amazing when we talk about how you look at the cover of something and you just don't know. I meet people all the time, especially like when I'm speaking or when I'm doing trainings or something, and they're like, "Oh, you're so phenomenal, and you're this," and they
No
just
one's ever
automatically
said that to
Yes,
you.
they have.
Come on, you can't bring your mom and dad into this conversation. So
I can't
stop
bring
it.
them into
Wait,
it.
Stop
Wait.
it! Stop it! Stop
or
it!
was it in a dream?
Yeah, that-
Was it in a dream? Might have been in a dream. Oh, it's so good. No, so
Play the
they
crickets
say
again.
that, and okay, here's a perfect example. We were doing an event, and Daryl at the closing, he shared the journey that Stormie, myself, and he had been on.
Okay.
And in this, he was talking about some of the things that had happened to each of the three of us. And he shared something that had happened to me. And the women came up at the end and they're like, you're so powerful. I can't imagine that these things that you went through, these things, like we all have, we all have, our
Something.
luggage, our garbage. But no one thought that. But what they really didn't realize is that I was a solid D student, graduated with a solid D, a proud D. I'm dyslexic. My reading has always been atrocious, and it's because of my dyslexia and also without my glasses today.
Yeah.
But all of these challenges that I had, and then I used to be a fighter. So I actually got kicked out of the entire school district, but you would not know that based upon the life I have today.
I would.
That you would because I take you to the parking lot regularly. So now it gives people an understanding of why is Borah always threatening Stormie, because it goes back to my childhood. It's what I did. I was a brawler. I really was a brawler. I was in a gang.
You were in a gang?
I was in a gang called
What was the name of this gang?
The Midnight Pearls. We had pearl switchblades.
Wait.
I'm serious.
I was
They were
in a-
designer
seriously,
gangbangers.
seriously. We had pearl plated switchblades that we used to carry in our brassiere.
What?
I'm serious. No joke.
Let me tell you about the gang I was
no
in.
joke. Yeah, we don't want to know about
I was in a
the-
gang too.
We don't know. We don't want to know about Cameo. Okay.
Oh,
We were
You guys
called
did the
he
OJ
was
steps.
in Cameo.
We-
I was in Cameo, right?
we were called the Milli Vanillis.
Milli
The Milli
Vanillis. Yeah,
Vanillis.
We
exactly.
faked our way through.
She's so stupid. But my point in saying that is that we're always looking so much on this outside,
Yes.
and we don't realize the journey, the hell, the disruptions that we had to go through to get to the place that we are now. And that place that we are now, for most of us, especially for executives, for CEOs, for more progressive individuals, that's only a stop in the journey.
right.
That is not the destination.
That's right. And those and everything you said, dyslexia, school grades, those are labels and those are things that were prescribed by someone else's standards. And at the end of the day, and this is my issue with the school system, there's not such a focus on your strengths. Because I look at,
Right.
okay, you were a fighter. That is a strength. And let's hone in on that. What are you fighting about? There was a story behind that, that if the adults were trained to lead
Absolutely.
properly, they would have recognized something in you. Maybe you didn't like you like you said, dyslexia, so you can't read a story, but maybe you are the best artist and could draw or could create something from nothing. And
that's
yes.
true, because I've always had really strong leadership skills. I could rally everybody around and get them in alignment with something.
Yes.
But I was not the person that could sit down and read and do this. Ironically enough, going back to high school, I have made more money than 90% of the class.
That is
95% of my graduating class,
Yep.
I've made more money than all of them.
Because they followed something that was prescribed. They followed the ordinary. Going back
Absolutely.
to what we said, you have the superstars and the rock stars and everyone else.
Yes.
There's more of everyone else, and everyone else is okay. You need these three things equally. They're
Right.
equally
Absolutely.
important. But how many people are not afraid to stand out and say, "Hey, yes, I'm extraordinary," so going back to the journey, I was
Yeah.
called weird so much. And I'm big on terms and accuracy, so look it
Okay.
up in a dictionary, and weird means extraordinary. So then if someone said you're weird, thank you.
Right.
I know I am. Wonderful. And if they called me a bad word, because again, being, there's a lot of, you
Absolutely.
pointed out, there's a lot of negative people who will pull out negative things. Okay, great. Yes.
And
if it's
oftentimes-
true, okay.
Those
If not,
disruptions.
yeah.
Disruptions.
That's
And
right.
usually a lot of the negative people, they just want to bring you into their misery.
Right, and they
if you
won't
let 'em-
go anywhere.
Absolutely.
They won't go anywhere or do anything. And guess what? If you were to turn it back around on them,
Absolutely.
they would not be able to take it.
Yep.
They most of them would not be able to
They would
take
not
it.
be able
And
to
here's
take
one
it.
of the things in saying that, one of the things that I've noticed lately, I've been watching with commercials and marketing pieces, that they've taken a lot of stereotypes and turned them into great marketing pieces lately.
Ooh, I'll tell you something. Even here in our town with Vegas Nights.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I loved about the very first Vegas Nights game that I went to, first I look at everything from a marketing perspective. That's, and I'm from Michigan. Detroit Red Wings were the only team that we had who was a winning team for the longest. So I was, in fact, a hockey fan.
Okay.
So now it's hockey here. And then from a marketing perspective, what I loved, they took one of the most popular negative statement that people would say is, "This is impossible. It's impossible." And they put that into their campaign. And they
Wow.
said they had so much collateral that said, "Welcome to the impossible."
Oh,
That's
really?
such a model of.
That's incredible.
See, so sometimes you have to, yes, you assess things, you can hold some things accountable,
Sure.
hold yourself accountable, and then you just accept it. Once you accept what it is, then you adapt. So in situations like in business, yes, dealing with different people, maybe there are people who will not do business with us, or
Right.
they just don't want the business, or they're not ready, whatever their reasons are. So once you're able to assess it, you look at it, you're accountable, you accept it, you move
Right.
onward.
Absolutely.
So,
That's very true.
and that's what you did. You accepted and most leaders, they finally accept, okay, these are the things I don't do well. Let's put it in a basket. And if you're a leader, you find the other people to fit those grooves.
To fit those grooves, exactly.
grooves.
Right, right. Exactly. Find someone who is smarter than you and hire them.
That's right.
That's really what it
That's
is. Find
right.
someone who is smarter and
Look
hire
at Steve
them.
Jobs, for example. We can, think about it. Steve Jobs, he wasn't the original programmer. He
Right.
found someone.
Found Wozniak and the other individuals
That's right.
that were the smart people.
That's right.
That's
right.
exactly it.
That's right.
So let me ask you that. With that being said, go ahead, Stormie.
Now, I wanted to hear the rest of the journey. So, we got the journey up to 10 years old. And how did you work your way into your company now, 5am Global?
So, okay.
She said so.
wanna hear
yes,
this. I wanna hear
yes.
this.
A sigh
Absolutely.
in there.
I think I'll go from 15. At age 15, I did start my first business, and I started in production, so event production, which is, and people don't remember or don't think about it, or maybe just don't know that events are a component within the marketing scale. So I started in event production, and with that, there was some luck involved, but it was always hard work and planning.
Okay.
Moving forward, I did get introductions, so I learned then how important referrals and introductions were. Who you know,
Absolutely.
and who knows you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now that's interesting.
More
because-
importantly than
more
who-
importantly,
yeah, that's actually more important.
it's more important. But I was also guilty, and we just talked about this, Stormie. I was guilty of being able to consult and urge other people to brand themselves so that people knew exactly who they were. But like the saying goes, sometimes a cobbler goes without shoes. So I did not successfully brand myself as well as I would brand a company or complete a project. I really didn't take care of myself. So that was a big lesson to learn.
Right.
And that brings us, to now. So the steps and the journeys, it's always been in the same industry, working with most of the same clients, working with other agencies, collaborating, same business. Times have changed, terms have changed, but
Absolutely.
it's the same focus. And again, the key goes back to people and who you are, who your clients are, who your team members are, and
Right.
who your affiliates are. So that I would have to say that's been the key to my success. And then the on the flip side of that, I can take responsibility of the errors, which were great lessons, but some of the errors were not following your gut.
Right.
So you do need to follow your gut, and you do also need to identify. You said this in your presentation, when you are beating a dead horse.
That's really important because
Yes.
we're so inclined to believe that when you change directions, that's failure. That's not failure.
Not at all.
That's changing directions.
That's changing direction. That
Exactly.
means you've learned something
What doesn't work.
different,
Yeah.
and you are able to apply that information.
Absolutely.
So even when, let's say during political times and political campaigns and whatever side, I'm not talking about politics, I'm using it as an example.
Right.
And a lot of times I see in their marketing campaigns, they'll say, well, and they changed their mind, they flipped. I have to tell you, I think those are wise decisions. That's showing
Absolutely.
a person who is involved and who's engaged. And you can always have an opinion. The more you learn and the more you're connected, and especially after you get behind the curtains.
Oh,
so
yes.
we can always say what should be, what can be done, but when you're behind the curtains and you see the reality of things, then you will come out and have a different perspective, and that is value, that's growth. And if someone is not capable of adapting, because that's adaptability too.
That is, yes.
Yeah, then they'll fail. That's no different from in the marketing world now. We've seen where, yes, you can have a television ad, and that is the only source, that's the most valuable source. But if you don't take in social media, or you refuse to pay attention to social media or digital marketing, then guess what? You are not adapting, you're not going to grow,
Right.
and you lose. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So adaptability,
Especially in
change your
today's
mind.
world.
That's right.
That's
right.
very true.
That's awesome. And
That-
Deborah,
that
you're
is. So I don't even want to hear it.
Dive into it.
I don't want to hear it.
Uh-oh.
So
That means
you
you have poor
actually
listening
went.
skills.
So you actually went and did something that few people actually do. So it sounds like you have known since like 5-10 years of age this journey that you were going to go on, and you've had a lot of success with it.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of going in alignment. For most of us, we went to school for one thing, graduated. We did it a little bit and realized we didn't want to do it. Like me, I was going to school for communications. I went and did an internship at the news station. I realized how little they made, and I was like, no. At least not in this market.
Right.
Yeah, no. So most of us, we diverted. You actually came on onto this journey and you stayed there and you've been very successful.
Well, I did change though, because let's go back, because with the presentation side and interest in law and negotiating, that was actually the professional journey. So having a business was a part, but in my family, my mom was successful, my dad was successful in business, but there were other professionals, and it was a requirement to go to college. And if I was going to go to college, the plan was to become a lawyer. And so that was, on the business side was great. But I went to University of Detroit Mercy because they had a good program to transition you into law school. So until until it was time to fill out the application for law school, I was always going to get that law degree. Now, what changed my mind there, I thought to go and interview other lawyers.
Okay.
And this was a long time ago, but I would ask 2 questions. Are you happy? Do you love what you do? And not one lawyer at that time could say yes. They
really?
said,
Not one?
They said, I love the money. But no one said yes, they're happy and they love what they do. So that came back to me, and I said, wow, it's important to me to feel happy. And there's a lot of options out here, so I'm already in marketing.
Right.
Even a lawyer needs marketing. So that continued.
I can still be in that
Yeah.
field.
Absolutely.
Yes, and I recognized then too how much school is valuable and it's a great leverage point.
Right.
But the real education is doing. It's being a part of and seeking other business leaders and others in the industry, because they're not just teaching you, they're not giving just examples and professional terms. They're learning and they're failing and they're growing and they're succeeding. They're doing real life.
Absolutely. And that's what's key.
That's key.
You know, what you learn in a book, what happens in real life, oftentimes aren't exactly the same.
So speaking of following a passion, you went into a passion. I know now, in addition to marketing, you have some other passions that you're working with, and you have a big event that's coming our way. Which
is actually still tied into the same thing. So last year was a year of challenge. It was a challenging year in business, but it was the best year because almost every good thing, bad thing that can happen happened all in one year.
Okay. Oh my.
and with that came a lot of growth, and it also came a lot of action. So I went through a business divorce, as my lawyer calls it. And through that journey, there was a time of frustration. If you're a doer, you have to stay busy, as I do, you want things to just end so that you can move forward.
Sure.
You don't have control over those things all of the time. So during that period of not being able to really work and focus on something professionally, I took an initiative to go and talk to other business leaders, and I was looking for a mentor. Because, again, wise thing to do. Every leader still needs guidance.
Absolutely.
You have to learn sometimes how to follow. So I...
Stormie, follow me.
Follow you?
Follow your leader.
Follow me.
Take me.
That's right. Take me to your leader.
Take me to your leader.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Again, now we can go deep into the symbolism of those movies, too. Because looking at those movies, there was, to me, a lot of lessons in business, too. But going through that transition and talking to other business leaders and just feeling frustrated, there was one person who made a statement and said, "Let the cake bake." And for some reason, how that resonated, it changed my whole trajectory. And it made me stop and just breathe. And it just seems like it brought out clarity. So with that moment, it's almost like when they say the stories of death, your life flashes before your eyes.
Right.
This was a death of an error. Because at that moment, and taking that deep breath, so that moment to breathe, there was a flash before my eyes of every business experience, good, bad, every lesson that was learned.
Wow.
And what came out of that was, first, it was a wow.
Wow.
It was really powerful. And the idea to produce an event based on work-life balance.
Okay.
It came from recognizing, okay, here are the failures. This is the loss. Here are the lessons. but identifying what the positive part and what I feel like was the greatest accomplishment last year
Right.
was I did create a company with healthy and happy work-life balance.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
And that was something that I had not done in my own life for a long time. And it was just so clear. And again, talking to the other business leaders, I started hearing the pattern of where they were in their success or paying closer attention to their company's culture. And I mean, it even goes back when we had the company, my business partner and I. It was really a big focus on, or not big focus, but there was a concern because I will always work, and I always use the excuse that, well, I'm not married and I don't have children, so I would put so much more into work and the projects and the goals that I never really even thought about marriage and children. I never put energy into that. And time just went by and you feel like you're on a hamster wheel, but when you love what you do, you don't really pay attention to that time. Well, and I started doing some research on the effects, the positive and negative effects when work-life balance is either maintained for your leaders, and when a company's culture is built on work-life balance, the value that it does add to profitability.
Right.
So just looking at that, and then, like I said, so many people came to mind, and so many of our business leaders came to mind who actually do maintain for themselves. Mm-hmm. And maybe they had to learn. They had some tough lessons. They didn't do it in the beginning of their careers, and maybe they've lost relationships because of that.
Absolutely, yes.
Damaged maybe professional relationships and personal relationships, and did not and had high turnaround in their companies, and that's costly. So knowing, again, how to maximize your profitability, and that was something that I would always consult on. Number one thing is taking care of you.
And that's the last thing that most leaders think of, is taking care of me. As long as I take care of the business, everything else takes care of itself.
Right.
And that's not the case.
That's
Absolutely.
not the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, when I was in business, I realized at the end of my career in real estate, and I wasn't a real estate agent, I was an investor. I managed portfolios, and I owned a mortgage company. In that, I realized the last 3 years, and I didn't realize this until I was out and looked back. The last 3 years that I was in business, I literally worked, no exaggeration, 365 days, every Christmas, every holiday, every Thanksgiving.
I got to laugh on that because you said you worked. That's the best joke I've heard ever.
I did all that working then, so now I don't have to do any now. I have some saved up.
Okay.
I have some saved up, so see, that's why I didn't have to work when I came over to Yoko.
Okay, got it.
So, but I didn't realize that, as you said, looking back, I had to look back, and man, that time, I didn't realize that I had worked 365 days for 3 years straight.
Day.
On vacation, I fired my assistant.
Every day and every moment. And now think about that. Just think about that. Did you get any more done?
Nope.
No.
It was
no.
It's almost like the story, because the hair is just keeps going. The hair is just going and burns out. So, right, and the tortoise actually wins the race, because the tortoise is taking moments to reflect, going at a steady pace. During this time, I saw this quote, so inspired by the quote that says most people spend their health, so their lives, their health, they spend their health to gain wealth.
Wow.
And then have to
spend their wealth
to regain their health.
Absolutely.
So that's
powerful. I've never heard that one.
A true indication of an absence or improper or unhealthy work life.
Wow.
So you need the balance. You need a computer cannot run for 24 hours a week, 365 a year. A computer needs to log off. It needs to reboot. It needs to regenerate. And we are, if you treat your body like a machine, if you think of it in that, even, in that comparison, then use the computer as a model. And if you don't do that for yourself, how can you understand and promote that within your team?
Well, I've got a problem with that. I've got to push back, and let me just tell you why.
Push.
Because you said you got to use your model as a machine, right? I once had that conversation with Borah, and she's like, "Well, I need fuel." And then she goes and gets some alcohol. I'm like, what
went to the
what
gas
are the booze
station.
for? She says, well, my car takes fuel, which is alcohol.
So why should not?
So why shouldn't I take the alcohol? And so what am I supposed to do with something like that?
Well, she knows
I know what my body needs.
just like car manual tells you.
I love her.
Yeah, just like that car manual tells you what type of fuel to put in your car.
She knows the fuel.
Yes.
Okay.
Mine says
Okay.
Henny Hen. And I don't drink alcohol, so that's why it's funny. And he knows that I'm not a drinker. But yes, but that's true. You're right about that. But your body does. It tells you what you need.
Tells you what you need.
And then there's the effects of everything that's built up over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to dive into the summit you have coming up. So
Yeah,
you've got to share the
absolutely.
summit. So what's the name of the summit?
So it is actually called Breathe.
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 The Breathe Summit.
Simple. It's called Breathe Health and Wealth Summit and Expo.
And this is going to be an annual event.
Yes, an annual event here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Moving to different locations. This year, it's a one-day, full-day summit.
Okay.
It's on Wednesday, February 20th.
Oh, that's coming up.
It's coming up.
Okay.
And we have a preceding VIP reception and that is Tuesday, February 19th. Both of the days are held at UNLV,
Okay.
an amazing space. It has great parking.
UNLV. We'll get you there.
Go Rebels!
Go Rebels! Woo-hoo!
and at the VIP reception, we're honoring Marybeth Seewald, and she is the CEO and president of Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce. And you cannot help but to recognize, like we talked about those honeycombs. Here is an organization that does a lot to fuel the community businesses.
Right.
So that's
Definitely.
one layer. The next layer is having the team, and a team that she has. Each team member has such a great responsibility, and she really does understand work-life balance in herself. She promotes it within her organization, within the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce.
Wow.
And she balances herself along with her personal relationships and her professional relationships.
Right.
And she then helps promote and support that within her team. I mean, I paid attention. If you know Stormie, to any organization I'm involved in, I spend time there and I pay attention to the people. And Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce, UNLV, there's other organizations I can name, but right now those are the two because I'm very active in them right now. But they really do. And what you see now, when you see that work-life balance, you have happy team members, happy employees.
Yes.
So which increases productivity.
Absolutely.
If they increase productivity and efficiency, then it definitely reflects their customer service or their relationships, their engagement
Sure.
with members, with donors, with other employees, with clients.
Right.
So she does a very good job of that, and because she is our honoree, I asked her to declare her favorite charity, and she declared her favorite charity as the Nevada Military Support Alliance.
Okay.
Oh, that's
And-
awesome.
Yes. So all of the proceeds for the VIP reception are going to the Nevada Military Support Alliance.
That's awesome. That's
And this
great.
is something that you said it's here this year, but it's going to be in other places, other parts of the country throughout as you move
Throughout
forward.
the year, so our growth plan is annually here in Nevada. We will always do it here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And it's
Fantastic.
interesting because even when I spoke with the director, the executive director for the Nevada Military Support Alliance, she, looked at the concept and loved our process and our communication. And she said, have you ever thought about doing this in Reno? So we have clients and relationships in different parts of the country. Steve Shore, who is our moderator for this event, Steve Shore
Yep.
is again an amazing person. When I had a meeting with him, and what I loved about Steve did an event for me in May, and so this time when I called him, I didn't even say 2 words. He just gave me a yes. That is the goal for all of our participants this time, is to give them the best experience so that when I call you the next time, I don't have to chase so hard. But the
Right.
next time you say yes, whatever it is. Steve Shore, when I called him, I said 2 words. I said, hi, Steve. Yes, Shawn. And I thought he was just responding. I said, oh. He said, no, whatever you need, yes. And I told him about this, and we sat down, and he said, wonderful. And you are doing this in other places. So he started naming places
Wow.
of his with where his relationships lie. So it is. We will repeat, breathe.
Nice.
2019 this year. Moving forward, this year is a 1-day summit, and next year the goal is to allow it to grow. We'll have a 2-day summit, continue to grow, and next year, like I said, here in Las Vegas and in other locations as well.
And you have
That's
a really
incredible.
powerful person on that. I mean, all of them are phenomenal,
Yes.
but there's one person in particular that I see on here that I'm like, wow.
So she is coming. Borah is coming.
Deborah's
What-
coming. That's
Deborah's
right.
coming?
Yeah, Deborah's
Borah
coming.
is
How about
coming.
that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Definitely.
So I see here someone connected to our wonderful Impossible Vegas Nights.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Oh, yeah, the
So I
president
wanna-
and CEO of the
Yes,
Vegas Knights
of the
will be there.
Vegas
That's
Knights.
great.
Yes.
So let's consider these things.
Okay.
So we have 20 speakers.
Okay.
So we have planned 2 sessions, morning and afternoon sessions, panelists, speaker presentation, fun, informative throughout. Each one of our speakers and panelists are successful and busy,
Yes.
but each one of them has an ability to balance work life, and they're not too busy that they can't stop and express kindness.
Right.
Carrie Boobles, the COO and president of Vegas Knights, and we all know we're in the middle of the season, and
Yes.
this is a busy
Yes, that's
time.
why it's so powerful.
This is an organization that we didn't have. Welcome to the impossible once again, and he has aligned himself personally, and then again as a leader, his team members in every department have become a part of this community. They
Yes.
are never too. They're organized and they communicate enough. They take time off, and they are able to still stop and breathe.
Right.
So Carrie Boobles was actually one of the first individuals that I enlisted. He gave me the yes. He provided all of the information that I needed,
Wow.
and the communication has remained consistent.
That's great.
And again, all of them. So Dave Levine is actually coming from California, and I'll tell you, he's an innovator. He's one of the first people whom I met. I met him 25. How old am I? So I met him 20. I know. Wait, yeah, and I have to do them. Oh, 20 years ago from right
You're
now.
right.
So I met him 20 years ago, and he has an interesting company. You talk about Cards Against Humanity. He actually started in the adult business, but he started a business based on the number one goal in the beginning is to not let work overwhelm life. And he was one of the first people whom I heard ever say, I am creating a business for wealth. He said it clearly. He wasn't
Right.
afraid to say why. It wasn't just fame. It was wealth, number one. And I don't want to, and I maybe don't need to manage a lot of people, a lot of overhead. I
Right.
don't need to have a lot of inventory. He started a business. We talk about Amazon and we talk about Uber and Airbnb, but he was the pioneer of that. Because what he did was he found a way. He started one of the first affiliate programs online, and he built wealth off of the idea to, one, keep his life balanced. That was number one for him. Christoph Wyman is an amazing customer service excellence coach and business consultant. I actually just met him recently, but he has become our business consultant partner with this event.
He's actually been on our show.
He's been on our show. Absolutely.
He has been on our show. Yes,
You can go
he's
back
been
and
on-
listen
when
to
he-
one of our episodes,
Yes.
and you can hear the Christoph Wyman
Yes,
episode.
when he
It was
was
right when he
doing his
launched
last book.
on
He launched his
5-star
book on our show.
customer
wow.
service. Yeah.
Look at all these little connections.
Connections,
Absolutely.
exactly. Dave Levine, I'm very familiar with Dave. I followed him for years.
Wow.
Powerful
got a
individual.
great panelist.
Yes.
See, a great analyst. Okay, so
Yes.
you see all these dots that connect. Well, let me go back to Christoph Wyman. This is another good story, real quick, about how we're all sort of connected. I was talking to someone a few days ago, and they told his story of a second life chance. He had a health scare, and it was another example of not having work-life balance. Okay, so he told the story, and then he mentioned how After he recovered, he spent time to try to find out who his EMT, the EMT guys were who brought him back to life.
Oh, wow.
And the person who helped him find those people, I mean, first of all, who thinks to go through that? I mean, the EMT people have a very important job, but we may not.
And receive very little recognition.
And they receive very little recognition. And it's not on purpose.
Right. It's just not something you think of afterwards.
You think about. So this person took the time to try to connect and actually was successful. And who helped him connect was Christoph Wyman's wife.
Wow.
Michelle.
Oh, fantastic.
But when he told the story, he didn't mention any names at first. And then he talked about the person in the medical department who helped him, and the fact that her husband was concerned about his health and would like to have an update about the person who had the life challenge. Well, when I talked more about the event and I told him who our speakers were, he said, well, Christoph Wyman is the person I was talking about who was inquiring. He was the husband of the woman, Michelle,
that's
who
incredible.
worked in. So all these little dots that fit. Galit Ventura Rosen, she's one of our speakers, and Galit is an excellent women's business consultant. She consults for men and women, but she is really focused on women in business and empowering women in business. And she actually has a book, a great book about changing your mindset, preparing your mindset for women, preparing your mindset for success.
That's
Here's
incredible. This is
the
gonna be
funny thing.
Uh-oh.
Let me
Another
tell you this. You're not
connection.
going to believe this.
Another
So
connection.
Galit and I were both on the advisory board for a company out of Chicago called Bebo, Beauty In, Beauty Out
Wow.
Tours. We were both on that. Galit is on my hit list.
Wow.
Galit, she's on my hit list.
Well-
And I just haven't connected with her recently.
Well, you're
but
connecting
she
with
and
her
I,
now.
exactly.
Because-
But she
yes.
and I were both on the
Wow.
board of Bebo.
That's incredible.
That
Yes,
is incredible.
yes.
So
Well, going back to Judaism, it's the science of connecting all. We're all somehow.
connected.
And here in Las Vegas, it really is two people. That seems to be the average. 2 years and two people to connect to whomever. It doesn't matter a title, and it doesn't matter the industry. It just seems like we're so small and connected and not non-pretentious.
Absolutely.
No more of that 6 degrees of separation.
There's
2
2
years and
degrees,
2 people.
absolutely.
2
I
years and
like
2
that.
people. 2 and 2.
So listen, Shawn, if someone wants to find out more information about
Yes.
you,
Yes.
about the Breathe event, tell us where they can find that information.
All right. So they can go to www.5amglobal.com. We are the company who is producing Breathe. Breathe, and more information about Breathe can be found on www.breathesummit.com. You can also reach out to me, Shawn, SHAWN, at 5amglobal.com. So
The number 5.
The number
number
5.
5.
I do apologize. The number 5. So Shawn at the number 5, amglobal.com.
Well, let me tell you, this has been a great show, wealth of information. Would have been much better if Borah didn't join us, but she was here. So we got to thank you for coming. And for those of you that are listening to this show on as a podcast, and if you like the show, we would love for you to rate and review the show on your favorite channel. Or rate and review the show, give it 5 stars, or give it whatever you want, whatever you think it's worth, and then be sure to subscribe, because by you subscribing, that allows us to grow this show. And before we close out, I want to turn it back to Shawn. Shawn, is there anything else you would like to add to
There's
this?
a promo code for our
That's what I
Bizruptions
wanted
Oh, there
to
it
add.
is.
So I want to
Okay.
And
share.
again, he wants to get rid of me, but I'm the one that makes
keeps
sure that the T's, there you go.
everything is in order.
T's are crossed, the I's are
Yes.
dotted. It's Borah.
It's
Absolutely.
Borah. And so it's 2 things I want to share. So
Shoot.
first of all, I want to really thank our impact partners for this event, and that is the Vegas Knights, Rethink Fabrics. I want to really thank them. Rethink Fabrics, real quick. They take water bottles. They recycle water bottles to make the fabrics that they create.
That's cool.
So they are actually providing our Breathe T-shirts.
Okay.
And if you go online after the summit, if you attend the summit and you go online after the summit and you want to order another shirt, they are giving $5 back to the Nevada Military Support Alliance for every shirt that's
Wow, that's
purchased.
awesome.
Awesome.
The other sponsor we have, sponsors are Graphica.com. And the last one is Silent Savanasa.
Silent
Silent
Savanasa.
Silent Savasa. No,
Savasa.
wait. We have to say it correctly.
Yes.
Wait a minute. I do stutter with this one. I apologize.
Savasana?
Savasana. See,
Silent
Christoph
Savasana.
Wyman says it right, and I kind of just stutter with it because my eyes start going cross. I do that. But it's Silence of, and that's Dre Gardner. He is one of our speakers too. He leads the yoga retreat that's usually at station casinos. Now, if you do log on, if you do register for the summit, please put in promo code Bizruption. And do it today.
Ruptions.
Yes,
Yay.
we are limited to space. So invest in you and attend, breathe, register. You can actually, if you don't have time to attend, just go ahead and register.
There you go.
And proceeds will go back to the Nevada Military Support Alliance.
That's
Awesome.
fantastic. That's
Thank
awesome.
you so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you. It's a great
And
show.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today,
Thank
Shawn.
you.
And I'm never sure when Stormie gives me someone to contact because if they're related to Stormie, I just don't know. You know. But
gosh.
this has been a phenomenal show, and you've given great information. And I love your energy and your personality. And despite whatever you've gone through, you have rised up, and you are just killing it.
Absolutely.
I had someone say to me once, "You are so happy. What happened in your life?
Exactly. What's
happy.
wrong?
What's wrong?"
You're not supposed to be that happy.
And someone else said, "You're smiling. No one's going to take you serious." Well, I can tell you a no, and I've even fired someone with a big smile.
So be careful of her
Be
smile. In
careful.
other
Be
words,
careful of
y'all.
the smile.
and it's good. I'm a happy person. So
And
So
that
there
we
you
all
go.
should be. So thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you.
And I'm really excited about the Breathe event. And guys, go ahead and get your tickets and join them and support.
join us.
Join us in the
Borah is
support of
attending.
this phenomenal event.
Absolutely.
And where the proceeds go. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bizruptions show. We will see you on our next episode. Hopefully Stormie won't be with me.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much.